Hi, it's me, Ingrid INFP, and it's really nice weather out here. Sorry for the wind, but I think that this is perfect. Yesterday it was 25 degrees, which was warm for Swedish weather, but like perfect weather, really. Um, and I went to see Alanis Morissette in concert. But before we get into that, I do want to talk about a funny thing that happened today. Is that I went to the police to renew my passport, and when I got there, there were like 3 booths of different police, and these are young people because like this is the first assignment that they get as a new police, usually, I think. At least I don't think that they put them on like the toughest jobs that require a lot of skill on their first day. So these were young people, and they said, "Oh, are you the Ingrid who works as a doctor at this place?" And I was like, okay, like they have all of my information here, because I'm renewing my passport, right? So they know everything about me. And I was like, oh, so you know everything about me? And they said, yeah, you cured my pneumonia. And I was like, oh, I didn't remember that, but I apparently helped a person. And it's kind of like, okay, so this is a small town, and you start getting to know people. And then she said, oh, you also treated this person next to me has also been with you. And she said, am I right that you're a doctor? Because it seemed like they were placing bets on whether I was a nurse or a doctor, and how they were like, could not imagine me working as a doctor. So, yeah, so I said, yeah, I am, But it's kind of funny that, like, I'm so famous around here. But okay. So yeah, that's the kind of thing that happens when you work as a doctor in a smaller town. So now all the police know me, but they know me in a good way. Anyway, so I went to see Alanis Morissette with my ENFJ friend, and my ENFJ friend is like 10 years older than me or something, so it's like more of her generation kind of music. I would say that, I was a child when her best music was coming out. Compared to, like, for her, it was like, her teenage years were defined by Alanis Morissette. So, yeah, I thought it was really good. I didn't know the lyrics for most of the songs, but a lot of the songs you can recognize. I do find that there is some truth to her probably being INFJ. I don't know, there's just this sort of thing about INFJs, like they're all in the same hive minds for some reason. Sorry, I'm looking over there because there's a spider that's making his web, and it looks like he's floating in the air just with the sunlight. So yeah, I'm mesmerized by this. I'm probably not going to be able to pick it up with the camera, so I'm just watching the spider fly away. Okay. But I think that there is some deep stuff there. I do have a fraught relationship with Alanis Morissette because my ex-INFJ friend was so deeply into her music, and so I can't think of Alanis Morissette without thinking of him. And obviously my ENFJ friend likes her too, and I think that there is something there is something in IFE going on there. Like, they get it. I think that I like it, but I'm interpreting it in a very INFP way, which is probably not the intent, you know? And so there is this kind of disconnection between INFJ and INFP that it's like we get it, but we don't get it. And it's very strange. But I found that I really enjoyed that there is a lot of emotion behind the songs. Also, she is extremely skilled. She can just like whip out this harmonica and just like aggressively make a tune out of thin air, you know? And the way that she sings is very singular as well, you know? She'll be like throwing her head back and like wrenching music out from her gut. And it was wonderful. I ended up connecting a lot with my ENFJ friend because there was, you know, there was this whole thing where she didn't show up that time where I had the meltdown at the culture night in Stockholm, and you know, like, why was that? And we had a lot to catch up on, and it ends up that she's taking a long holiday now, so she might be going to the Muse concert next week. So I might go to Muse rather than Green Day. I think that was the thing that decided it, because I couldn't decide. And yeah, we also were at the concert with this third guy who was her friend, and it was so sweet because she actually called me to ask if it was okay if she brought another person, which really shows that she had listened to the things that made me have a meltdown when I was with my ISFJ friend and he brought somebody I didn't know, and how I got a meltdown partly because of the fact that he was bringing a third person in, and the fact that she actually took that into consideration and was like, oh, I should tell Ingrid about the fact that this third person is coming. And I was like, oh, it's fine, you know. I didn't expect anybody to say that, but it's sweet, you know. It's like, oh, somebody thought, this might make Ingrid uncomfortable. Maybe I should, you know. So she went out of her way to show that she cared about me in that way, and I was very touched by that. And I think that I do the same for her, though, in that, like, I always plan extra time for her because she has ADHD, so I have to plan extra time in that, like, okay, so I say that I come to the place beforehand, and I know that she won't come at that time. So I say, like, okay, we're going to meet at 4, and then I plan for her to come at 5, and it's okay if she comes late, because I've planned that out, you know. And also concerning my trip to the south of Sweden, which I'm planning on doing for midsummer, it seemed like she wasn't going to come, and she was like, you know, couldn't decide, and I couldn't decide. And then I realized, wait a moment, she is struggling with the exact same problem as me, in that she can't decide until the other person has decided. So I ended up deciding for her. Basically, I said, okay, I'm buying the tickets, come or don't come, it doesn't matter, just, you know, I need to buy the tickets, and I'm propelling her to buying the tickets as well. it's this kind of, positive peer pressure kind of thing, but also it's kind of like, it forces you to come into, you know, to get a move on, And I think, and then she said, yeah, she appreciated that. And I was like, I'm sorry that I bought the tickets without, like, asking you if you were going to come or not, or, I'm doing it regardless. But I said that I felt like maybe if I buy the tickets, then you will be compelled to do so as well. So now she's coming. And yes, it's just lovely because we have our issues, we have our issues. Me because I'm autistic, and she because she's ADHD, and we can figure out, ways to get around our different issues and still care for each other anyway. And it's not like we're going to be able to make plans every weekend, because it's just so hard for us to organize these things. And I keep complaining about my own organization. I have a hard time taking initiative of doing things and organizing things. Well, I think that in a way for her to do something spontaneous is like easier for her. And so she makes more plans, but she can't handle the plans. Well, for me, I don't make plans because I know I won't be able to handle them. So in a way, we kind of balance each other out. Because when we got to the Alanis Morissette concert, we were like, oh, this wasn't as full as we thought it would be. Maybe we should get food. And then she was like, well, maybe we should camp out here in front. And I said, yeah, but maybe one of us should go get the food and the other one should camp here so that we can, like, and we got really good spots. I think it's really easy to, it's crazy when you go to Gröna Lund in Stockholm for the concerts. It's like these huge artists could receive very little. It's super cheap. I had the 220 crowns, so that's like $20 or something, $25 for an Alanis Morissette concert. And you could get in for even less if you have the green card. This is a Swedish green card, not an American one. A green card to get into Gröna Lund. It's the Gröna Lund card. And Gröna Lund is a theme park, so it's a fairgrounds kind of place where they have all sorts of attractions. But you can have a ticket for the whole season, where you can just go in any night where they have concerts, or any night you can go there for 420. So, if you go to a lot of concerts, then you'll have a lot of, every concert costs less and less for each. So, first of all, it doesn't cost money, and also there are so few people that go to that stage. And so I got to see Carly Rae Jepsen 2019, and it was like, yeah, there were maybe like a few thousand people at most. Maybe it was even just a few hundred that day because it actually rained. So there were like three rows. I was like in the third row, and I didn't even come there early, So I think that it's a really good opportunity. But I did get stressed out because I was like, okay, I need to get there early because Alanis is going to be super popular. And it was popular, but it wasn't like I needed to come as early as I did. And, get sunburned and have to buy 10,000 water bottles in the process. But so I think that it's really wonderful what we have. So even though we get on each other's nerves, I think that we also really appreciate each other. And I think, it's I feel sometimes it's dangerous to feel like I'm too important part of somebody's life, because I'm so used to being more friends with somebody than they are friends with me. You know, like they don't care about me as much as I care about them. That seems to be like the way my friendships work. But in this case, you know, even if she's an ENFJ and knows a lot of people, I think that she really only feels comfortable being herself around very few people. And I am one of those people. So I really don't take it for granted. I'm really, really grateful to be part of this person's life. And we met, you know, because we happened to do residency or our internship together. So, yeah. I also wanted to say that I'm almost done with Everything is Tuberculosis by John Green. It's a really wonderful book. I think that it explains certain kind of philosophy of medicine that I want to read more books about. Because he was talking a bit about compliance, the term compliance, like a patient is compliant to this treatment, and how we try to move towards adherence rather, but that isn't quite right either. And it's kind of like the ethics of medicine, and he was talking about how tuberculosis patients have to go to the clinic to get their medication, and how humiliating that can feel, and how he couldn't really explain why people don't take their medication, but it's quite a common phenomena, and how there was stigma on tuberculosis and stuff. So I find it to be a really interesting book. I'm sure that there are other books about this kind of topic. It's just I haven't really explored that in depth. I'm planning for the midsummer where I'm going to the south of Sweden. We're going to be meeting a third intern when I went and did my internship in the south of Sweden. And we're just going to take it easy. We're not going to be doing much. We haven't planned anything. But just be in the countryside, you know, with the Swedish weather, you know, which we can't really rely on. But I'm not sure if I'll be by the sea or not. But it seems like we might go to the sea. Yeah. And I'm happy to be going on holiday soon, because I really felt like I needed it. Also, the only people that are left at my workplace right now are, you know, the people that I don't really want to hang out with. So I'm doing the work, and then I leave, and then I, you know, try to disconnect from work. And yeah, there were all sorts of weird birds around today. I don't know. So that bird that's peeping right now has this red, and then he has this yellow orange body kind of thing. I don't know what he is. Is that a robin? I don't know what it is. Maybe I'll go look up like bird sounds later. In that way, these videos can help me like do my bird watching. So yeah, it was just an update today. Nothing more to say. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.